I was stalling a little bit for our video to get in place too, so it wasn't all you there. Hey, I'm glad you're here tonight. Well, thank you. Saturday Night Live is about recovery. That was really good, Zach and Kim. I enjoyed both of the step and step reflection. In fact, both of those are right down the vein that I want to share, and that reminds me I was going to do something. Are we ready? Yeah. Is it going? Okay. We're, we all got our own particular stuff. You got your stuff. And we like to keep our stuff quiet, though, like Zach was talking about, right? Hi, Brian. I was wondering if you was going to make it. Here you are. Good. I'm glad you are. And so we all have our own particular stuff. And as Zach was saying, we are as sick as our secrets. And when I got this picture in my head while Zach was talking, and so I'd like for you to think of this like soda pop, and if our life gets all shook up and messed up, and we get pressurized inside. Anybody here ever been pressurized? How many have ever been pressurized? I mean, it's you are about ready to explode, and sometimes you do. You just kind of you may have little mini explosions looking for a big one. You know what I mean? And if we don't, if that doesn't happen, then we're possibly using some way to mitigate our issues. You know what I mean by mitigate? Yeah. Well, and so we use, well, I was going to say, let us count the ways, but I won't say that. And so, anyway, we get all shook up, and what step 5 is about is really about finding a way to help us to get better. Okay, and we all want to get better, right? But we usually want to do it. Thank you, John. Yeah, our way. We want to do it in a way, and if our way worked, then we wouldn't have gotten where we already are, right? So if this bottle is full of pressure, and we keep adding more and more pressure to it, it's going to eventually explode, right? Just like our life. We explode. Nobody in here has ever exploded, but you know somebody that has, right? A few. And it's really sad when our life or their life explodes. But what step 5 here is about, and I'm going to read it real quick. I know we've already shared it, but I want to just share it again. And for some reason, I'm skipping a page. There it is. We admit to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrong. And the idea of this bottle that I'm talking about here is that if we just jerk the top off, we know what's going to happen, right? It spews all over. Anybody here ever spewed? The rest of you are liars. So, but if we, and we've all cracked the top just a little bit, right, and let some of the pressure off, right? Go, because we know if you let it off a little bit, that's what step 5 is here to help us with, is to start letting that pressure off. Does that make sense? And the first step is that we have to get real with ourselves. We lie to ourselves all the time. We deceive ourselves. And the trouble is, We lie so much to ourselves and we start believing it. Right? We convince ourselves. Now, it's just kind of a surface belief. Down deep, we really know. And see, the exact nature of our wrong is about really coming into reality. We haven't talked about reality for a little while, but oftentimes we want to live in a non-reality, right? And my question is, how did that work out for you? In the non-reality. Yeah, whether it's then or now. Yes. And so we want to live in that land of denial and escape reality. But when we do not live in reality and we are trying to put together our life in reality, will that ever work? Okay? So we have to start getting real. And that's hard. That's hard. Let me tell you, that's hard. But it's healthy, it's healthy, it's healthy. It's hard, but it's healthy. Most hard things are healthy. So as we start getting into reality, we start seeing the way that it is. My favorite sentence stem, if I were willing to see what I see and know what I know. If I were willing to see what I see. Sentence stem is the beginning of a sentence. And that you complete that sentence. If I were willing. Okay? Now the trouble is, are we willing? Are you willing? Are you really willing? You have a certain portion of willingness, or you wouldn't be here tonight, right? Or you wouldn't be watching on video. But to the degree that you're willing is the degree that you're going to get better. Yes? Yes? Hello? Hello? How much do you want to get better? Well, I don't want to get too much better. I've actually heard people say that. I don't want to get too much better, then I'll be like, people that I don't like. Haven't you heard something similar to that? So, you got me. So here we are. So we need to start this process and get real. Trying to get back on track. Get real. And this is a 3-step process by getting real with ourselves, getting real with God, because we really do try to lie to God too, right? But we know that He knows, but we're so used to lying to ourselves, we'll go ahead and see if we can get by with it with Him, because for some reason, I guess that makes us feel a little bit better. What do you think? It don't really work. We think it is. But then when we start to get better and we get over those hurdles, then it's where we're dealing with another human being. And when we can go through those, and particularly when we finally get through the last one, I remember the first time that I really ever opened up to a person. I wasn't really planning on doing that, but it happened. And this may sound kind of weird, but I'm going to say it the way that's in my head. It was one of the best days of my life, and it was one of the worst days of my life. What does that mean? It means I finally opened up to somebody, and I was vulnerable, but then after you're in that place, you're not for sure how to function after that moment. Am I telling the truth? Yeah. What's going to happen now? I mean, this is all brand new. Right? Now look at it for a second. Yeah, it seems scary, but what an opportunity. Right? Never been there. So, an opportunity. As Einstein said, there's more possibilities in the unknown than in the known. So there was greater possibilities. So what I want to share tonight, that was just reflection on our reflections. And what I want to share tonight is this statement here that many of you are familiar with it, and that is, my worst day, clean and sober, is better than my best day of active addiction. How many can say yes? I will. My worst day, clean and sober, is better than my best day in active addiction. Yeah, we do say important things 3 times. So my worst day, clean and sober, is better than my best day in active addiction. Whatever your active addiction may be. You know, and that just come up in my thinking last night as I was meditating on today, and you know, we sometimes when things we have to capture reality the way that it is, because sometimes we forget how bad it was, right? Things are going along. My life is beginning to come into order. I can think again. I can function again. I may even be able to walk down the street and not be concerned about stuff. You know what I mean? Stuff. And so we're able. Things are getting better and continually broken new barriers in my life, and things better. Things are just better. And then there's those things that starts gnawing on you in your head. Anybody have any things that gnaws on you from time to time? And there's a part of us that thinks that it would be good to do that or be there again. And that's normal. That happens. But it's what you do with it that matters right here. It's the decision that you make right here that's going to determine some of your direction. Okay? Do you understand what I'm saying? Do I need to get more plain? I do need to get more plain? Okay. I want to make sure that I understood what the nod meant. And so where we're at is we have to make that decision, and that is, yes, my worst day now is better than my best day back then. And that right there, if you look at it, that's some of that grateful exercise that we've talked about for the last couple of years in here, practicing gratefulness. And that, because we forget what to be grateful for. We forget that we're better. We forget that how far we've come. We forget that things have been restored. We forget now we have money in our pocket, and hopefully we have a job that we're able to do, and that people depend on us, and people love us, and people are no longer ignoring us, that they're willing to connect with us. You know what I'm talking about, okay? And so it's better. Does that mean that there are no difficult, challenging, hard times in the times that are better? Well, it's life, isn't it? Things are tough. Things are a challenge. Life requires ceaseless effort. But it's better than it was when we were in that active place of addiction, acting out. Would you agree with that? And this story that Kim talked about, that I'm going to touch real quickly, and because all of what she said was exactly that's the story where this is out of John. See, I'm looking for it on my notes because I know I have it on here. John, I think it was John 8, but I can't find it yet. Oh, there it is, John 8, 3 through 9, and where the religious leaders found somebody, or actually they found two somebodies because they were in a sexual act, but they only seemed to bring one there, and that was the woman, and threw her at Jesus' feet and said, hey, the law of Moses says this, what do you say? And as Kim said, Jesus knelt down or stooped down, and I think for two reasons. One was because that's where she was, to connect with her, okay? Because, see, oftentimes we think God doesn't want to have anything to do with us, but that's not what he showed. He got down in the dust with her, okay? And they were trying to trick him and get him to make a mistake, and so I think he did that, and also I think maybe he took a time for meditation and asked his father what to do, and that's when he was writing. And I liked your point about the dust because, when Jesus started writing things in the dirt, maybe it